Good morning, everybody. Robert here from the Red Dragon School of Martial Arts. Today's Tai Chi class will be focusing on crane spreads its wings, a beautiful, elegant motion that embodies the qualities of splitting force and the hidden energy of shoulder strike. Tai Chi Chuan itself, as a martial art, is also a very beautiful art form. It is designed to help us practice smooth, elegant changes. When working with Master Yang Zendo, one day he said, "You should feel beautiful when training," raising the spirit and practicing with a sense of elegance and grace. A beautiful art form, no doubt about it. And crane spreads its wings is one of those motions that illustrates that very clearly. So before we begin, let's frame our bodies and prepare ourselves to train. So first of all, we know our primary goals is to stabilize ourselves and to connect our body together. And one of the most useful actions to do that we call the post position. Let's begin by spreading our feet nice and wide, a little wider than our body. The next thing we want to do is release our weight down into our feet. And when you think of the 10 essential ingredients, your job primarily is to lengthen the body out. Let's begin with the top by raising the crown point upward, literally pushing towards the ceiling. The chin is in, the gaze is bright, the mouth is closed but not clenched. By breathing in and out of the nose, we're able to keep the mouth closed and not dry out the mouth, so to speak. Moving down the body, we want to make sure that our shoulders are settled. Sinking the chest, we want to feel the spine more apparently than we do the chest, if you will. We're going to lengthen our arms through great big arches, acting as though you're wrapped around a great big pole or a pillar, right? Moving down the body, I'm going to rotate my waist downward with a little sort of a gentle tucking underneath of the body. The knees are unlocked, and I'm going to release everything down into my feet. And I know that because I can feel that. I want to observe that. Wherever I'm observing, that's where energy is directed, right? So by releasing everything down into your feet, kind of hollowing out the body a little bit, you'll feel nice and stable and connected. Direct your breathing inward and sort of allow your breathing to go right down towards your feet. Breathe in deep and hold the posture. Now, probably one of the most underrated skills and practice in Tai Chi is being still. This is a stillness art form. Like so many great traditions, its goal is to calm ourselves and to allow us to look inside and to discover that inner stillness as well. So when you're doing this exercise, it's a form of meditation. You want to try to do this 2 or 3 minutes at a time, and I highly recommend you do it every single day, especially before your practice. So outside in the morning, grounding yourself to the earth, taking nice deep breaths and enjoying that morning air, preparing yourself for your day, and you'll find you'll get a lot more out of it. So that's a real good practice to maintain. Now, keeping this shape, we want to keep that body rounded and stable even as we stand up. So even by straightening our legs, I keep my waist relaxed, my shoulders are a little tiny bit forward, and I feel nice and integrated with a gentle internal charge. All right, let's take a look at crane spreads its wings. First, let's try to understand a little bit about the design. When we think about what you're doing with crane spreads its wings, what we're doing is we're imagining somebody attacking us from the side. So what we're trying to do here is we're going to try to imagine encircling arms that are reaching towards us. By having our left hand over the top and our right hand underneath, we're able to wrap our arms around the incoming reach. And by pushing down on one arm and lifting up on the other, we're able to split those hands apart. So one of the forces identified in crane spreads its wings is called split, the idea of moving energy in separate directions. Now, There's also a little bit of a hidden technique. Easy to forget about this one. Inside of the motion, there is a weight shift that conceals a shoulder strike. What we're imagining in the previous action from the hands raised up position, that we're pulling the opponent's arm or pushing the opponent's arms downward and then advancing towards the opponent, we're going to use our shoulder to bump this opponent away. Then in the new direction, we're going to surround the opponent's arms and split the opponent's arms apart. Let's take a look at crane spread to swings from the previous action, hands raise up and step forward. So watch first. Were you able to notice the shoulder strike in the action? Pretty subtle, right? What I'd like to do is to do the action at 90 degrees and give you a little bit of a feel for the encompassing action as well. So let's take a look at the movement from 90 degrees and see how we use the splitting force. From hands raised up, looks like this. Okay, so it's a little bit like two techniques combined. Let's take a closer look at the footwork. So when we think about the way that we manage our feet in this case, what we're doing is we're actually going from empty stance to empty stance. So in doing so, our feet share the center line in a V-like shape. So we begin the previous action with our feet in an empty stance. So from here, with my left foot turned out 45 degrees, my right foot shares the center line. So in the previous action, we can see that my feet are on either side sharing the center line. So in here, what we're going to do is go from empty stance to empty stance, pushing the weight back. The right foot is emptied and open to the corner. Now, when you look carefully the way I'm placing my feet, I'm not actually trying to cross or interfere with the rear foot. I want to make sure that I maintain this center line, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my foot down and notice that the toe on my right foot is on the same line as the heel of my left. Now I'm going to push all the weight over my right foot, pivoting on the ball of my left foot. I bring the left foot alongside of the heel of the right and touch the same center line. So here in this case, I have the toe down, but it's still basically the same stance. So in summary, I'm in an empty stance, 90 degrees away from the original position. Let's take a look at that again. So from here, I'm going to put my feet close together on the center line. I'm going to prepare the movement by opening my left foot 45 degrees and sliding the right heel on the same center line. Here, beginning the action, I'm going to push my weight over that right foot. I'm going to lift it and put it right in place. Move the weight over the right foot all the way the tip of the left. Bring the right or left toe on the center line and press on the floor. So when you think about pressing on the heel or pressing on the ball, the two different variations of the technique, because we are applying forces a little bit differently, we need a little different method of pressing on the floor. Now let's take a look at the footwork again from 90 degrees to see how we utilize the center line. So let's go back to the footwork a little bit. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to turn in a 90-degree direction. And again, in this action, we can imagine that the left foot is out 45 degrees and the right heel is on the center line. And again, this is the footwork from hands raised up, step forward. So pushing our weight back, we lift up the right, place it on the center line, move the weight 100% over the top of that right foot, come up the center line again and press on the toe. Again, we have this V-like shape, making sure that we're not interfering with the rear foot. Now, this is a very, very common situation you're going to see. All of the forms and shapes, the feet are 45 degrees apart, except for like empty stances and so on. So for the most part, I'm sorry, I want to say equal stances. Movements that are like this, for example, we're not 45 degrees apart. Most of the other stances, like the empty stance, whether heel or toe, or the bow stance, use this relationship. So it's very important to recognize that your feet are in a V at 45 degrees apart. So that's the footwork. Moving up the body, what we're doing is, of course, we're shifting our weight, but that shift is not as big a range of motion as it would be if we were going into a bow stance. So the shifts are very subtle, if you will, and they provide more of a pulsing-like action. The waist job is to steer that action as we change the directions of our techniques. So let's pay attention a little bit about what we do with the waist. So in the action prior, we have our feet in an empty stance, bodies turned slightly to the left. Now as we push the weight over the left foot, we're going to center our body over that left foot. We're going to leave the right foot open to the corner. Now move the weight over the right foot. And as I do, I'm going to turn my weight slightly left. So my waist turns left, bringing my right shoulder into that shoulder strike position. And then from here, with the left foot emptied out, I'm going to put my foot on the center line. The shoulders go square. And with a very slight weight shift, without actually moving the weight forward, with a slight weight forwardness, we're going to apply force to the floor. So here we're pushing down on the left and we're splitting that movement apart. So that's the job of the waist. As the waist gets into the square position, we're actually going to tuck that tail and open that gate a little bit more. Hand techniques. Now when we look at what's happening with the hands in the previous action, our hands were straddling the center line. Let's take a look at the left hand's job. So from here, rotating your palm as your weight shifts back. Here the left hand swings down to the side. Now as the hand gets to the side, the right foot's going to empty and relocate itself. Now here the left elbow is going to turn slightly down. Kind of hard to see this, but I want to keep my elbow down. What I don't want to do is lift the elbow up. That disconnects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate the elbow to the floor. So as my hand is rotating, my elbow rotates to the floor. And that helps to keep my shoulder down and elbow down and connect through the action. So there's a very interesting spiral here where the elbows settle to the floor. And then once the weight is in its appropriate position, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift, keeping the elbow down and the shoulder down, surround that motion. So my left hand, imagining over the top of the right hand, my right hand underneath his left. Once my feet are in place, again, splitting the action apart. Split the action apart. And as all of the motions do, we store energy into the root, coiling that energy, and then we move very carefully, boost that energy up to the technique. So again, let's take a look at crane spreads its wings. So here it is. The center of the hand over the center of the head. Left hand just in front of the hip is parallel to the floor. Chest is rounded. I want to feel my feet pressing on my hands. Tuck the tail, sink in the chest, and try to make that body rounded as you extend these arcs. Let's take a look at it from a 90-degree position. Again, as I sink the hands down, palm turns upward. With the weight over the left foot, the right side is empty. Left hand elbow stays down, right hand rounded. Move the weight over the right side. Empty out the left foot, put the feet in place, and split the movement apart. Okay? Connect right into your root. So a wonderfully elegant and graceful motion. And when you think about the name of the action, crane spreads its wings, sort of gives you a guideline for behavior. The idea here is that we're sort of using our imagination, trying to behave like a great white crane spreading her beautiful wings out, right? Yes, this is a martial art, but it's also an art of beauty and grace and elegance. So by using your imagination, you can very clearly use and see that, and by behaving accordingly, you'll end up doing the movements a lot more smooth and graceful like, right? Crane spreads its wings. Let's take a look at it one more time, and then we'll wrap it up. So from here, from the front position, the movement prior, hands raised up, step forward. Crane spreads its wings, move the weight back. Reposition the right foot, left hand over the top, right hand scoops to the left side. Feel the energy in that shoulder, rotate the shoulder square, push on the floor, and connect into the root. Brighten your gaze, head raised, chest relaxed, tail down, all the same principles connected into the core and the root, right? So make sure to practice that one outside. I highly recommend, again, try to put a lot of reps in it. If you have a mirror, try to position yourself and see it from a couple of different angles. Highly recommend you take your cell phone and record that and try to get a feel for it. So work on that. Give us some feedback. Let us know how you're doing. And as always, we have links below that will help you out with resources. As always, we encourage that if you are enjoying yourself and you want to follow this along in an organized sequence, then we recommend you turn on your notifications. And that will allow you to get these videos in order. You won't have to search for what's coming next. Also, we encourage you to subscribe so that you're being sure of getting all the content that you're interested in. And so get outside, enjoy yourself today. It's going to be a beautiful day, not too extreme, and enjoy your practice. In the meantime, have a wonderful day, and we look forward to spending time with you on Wednesday. Be blessed.